Choose the question. Can you see again? They give 4 with 5 things. Liquidity is short term. Risk and gearing is loan. Roshi, can you see it's the same as the previous one? Operating efficiency is the something on something. Is the business managing expenses? Oh, of course. This is A there. Is the investment better than... Okay, it's that one. Will the company be able to pay debt? Will the company be able to pay all its debts? No, that's long term. No, what's going on here? Oh, current debts. This one is C. Sorry. And this one is E. Okay. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Okay, so now I've got Sky-Fi Geeks. Can I see it's one company? So it will be 2 years, ne? Okay. Sky-Fi. Sci-fi. The business trades in electronic equipment purchased from China. Now, please keep in mind, this is 2020, it's the COVID year. And China is where the virus came from. So just keep that in mind. The COVID-19 lockdown has negatively affected sales over the current financial year. Okay, because shops was closed. So liquidity. If I go to my ratios, firstly, I want to highlight my liquidity ratios. So liquidity, I see current, asset test, stock holding, average debtors, average creditors. They give me 5 of the 6. Okay. So, now they say, the directors are satisfied with the improvement in the current ratio and asset test. Explain why you would disagree with them and quote 2 financial indicators in your response. So if I look here, let's start with the easy ones. Remember, I work 2-2. If I do average debtors and creditors, can you see the creditors stayed the same, but the debtors increased? So I'm definitely going to quote that one. So I'm going to say average debtors collection period increased from 31 to 46. Debtors take longer to pay. Then I'm going to look at my stock holding. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I say the stock holding period increased from 32 to 102. Stock takes longer to sell. If you wanted to use the current and the asset test, yes, there is an improvement, ne? But a bigger part of your current ratio is now stock. If you want to look at this, can you see 1.1 less for 0.7 to 1 was stock. Whereas here, 1.4 to 1 is stock. Can you see what I did? I subtracted the 2. So can you see the stock that you are holding doubled? That's why you always compare the current and the asset test to see if your stock is moving, is your stock selling. So it's definitely not so you would say your stock, your cash is tied up in your stock because your stock is not selling. Okay, so let's see how they marked. So financial indicators 2, figures 2, explanation 2. So the stock holding increased. Next, stock holding 1 mark. Increased from 32 to 102. Average debtors increased from 2. There I've got 4 out of 6. I will say too much cash tied up in stock. There's 2 marks. Too much cash tied up in stock. The business, now this is with debtors. They say the business has relaxed or neglected its collection policies. Lockdown during COVID had impacts on the debtors. Because people can't pay. A lot of people lost their jobs in those times. Okay, so can you see with that, anything saying cash is not coming in would give you 2 marks. So it's 6 out of 6. Okay. I want you to see the tendons. That from that 6, 4 out of 6 is just the quoting. I'm saying again, 2/3 will always be just the quoting, the trend. So name, trend, figure. 2/3 of the marks. Okay, next one. Dividends. Now I know I've got 2 options. DPS or dividend payout. Let's see. They start with the policy. So they say, the directors changed the policy. So in my head, I would say if I was a company, I would retain more because I don't know how long this thing is going to last me, and I would rather retain more and be able to keep my workers and pay them a salary even though I'm not generating an income. Another company might think, let's rather pay out dividends because my shareholders is going through tough times and I want to keep them loyal that they don't take out their investments. So can you see, there's not a right thing here. So let's see what this one did. Comment on the dividends per share over the 2 years. Can you see DPS? Okay. The dividends per share, the DPS, can you see it decreased? Okay. So you're literally going to say it decreased from 90 to 72. Can you see? 2 marks. Is there anybody who can't do that? I think all of you can. Okay. Next one. Explain the change in the dividend payout rate policy and give a reason. Okay, so now let's go look. The payout rate or policy. Ooh, what happened here? But they want a reason. They don't want to know if it's good or bad. Right. So it increased from 69 to 135. There's 2 ticks. Okay? So now you need to explain it. What are they doing? They want to keep the shareholders happy. Is it a good decision? I would say no, because they are using their savings. I know. So it's a balancing thing here. Ne? So can you see the possibility of questions they can ask you around it? Just stay within your parameters, your borders. Okay. A shareholder felt that they should be satisfied with the dividends they received, as it is better than last year. Explain why you agree with him. Quote figures. So now, what are we going to do here? How are we going to show that it is better? Remember, what does the shareholder get in the end? The money. And where am I going to see the money that he got? With the DPS, not the policy. Remember, the policy can be 170%, but in reality it could still mean, but 170% of zero profit is still zero. You get what I'm saying? So it could be that, yes, they declared a big part of their net profit, but did they really make a net profit that year? They didn't really make profit because their sales dropped. Why? Because their shops was closed. And unless they have opened up an online store, they were taking big hits. Remember how their stock holding increased to 100 days. So let's first go look. What is the dividends? Can you see the dividends dropped? So should he be satisfied? What's the question again? He felt that they should be satisfied. Explain why you agree with him. Quote figures. Come, think. Because I have no idea what to do here. What are you going to do? Come. Okay, the things that I see is they give me the amount of shares in issue. Okay? So they say we issued additional shares in April. So meaning, last year I had 1 million shares. You agree with me? And last year we declared 90 cents. So how much was the rand value of the dividends? $900,000? 900,000 rand. Okay, now this year we have 1 to 50 shares and we declare 72 cents. How much is that? Still 900. So do you know how to answer it now? Now I'm asking you, if there's more shareholders, does it mean that the existing shareholders is going to get less money? No. Yes, of course it is. Because, listen to this, not because there are more, but because that 900,000 now has to go there, it only had to cover 1 million shares. Here it has to cover 1.2 million shares. And that is why the 72 cents is lower than the 90 cents. You get what I'm saying? So now, if I have 5,000 shares, last year I would get 90 cents. This year I only get 72 cents on the 5,000 shares. Can you see I'm going to get less? Yes.
Why is the 900,000 that is it the income or the final order?
No, this is the total.
But then why is it, no, like the 900 for this year, for the 1.2 million, it's the total. But then why is it different to the one in the cash flow?
Because the dividends paid in the cash flow is last year's final and this year's interim. This is this year's total. Okay, but now my question is, how can I be satisfied with this? Where is that question now? Oh, I'm with the wrong paper. Sorry. Because this question asks me, a shareholder felt that they should be satisfied with the dividends they received. Okay, so the only thing I can say here is, even though the DPS decreased from 90 cents to 72 cents, the total dividends paid out or declared stayed the same. I don't know how to spell stayed, like this.
Yes.
It stayed the same. Net 900,000. Let's see, this is what I would answer. Let's see what they answered. Okay, so for 3 marks. Can you see? This is again that question that doesn't go according to format. Because what did they do? They took the drop in the market price, né? And then they did a dividend yield, which is not part of our syllabus in grade 12. It's first year syllabus. And if the policy was maintained, okay. So what they say, the policy was maintained at 69% of the EPS. So the same percentage of the earnings were paid out. Did they give that to me? Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not going to even entertain this. I'm sorry. You know, this. Let me say this on record. I'm sorry that these questions are like this because it makes you feel that you can't do the questions. But this isn't things that we are trained in. And it's not things that you will find in your textbooks, and you will not find it in any of your notes. Right? This is because of the fact that you guys have so many old papers to work out that they throw in stuff like this that you couldn't exam train. Okay? So you're not going to let things like this bother you. You're going to write down that which I said, that it stays the same, because I think maybe you'll even get a mark for it, maybe you don't, but can you see you lose 3? Remember in the previous paper you lost 2. Okay, and overall this question counts 35. Okay. Okay, comment on the risk and gearing for both years. So if I hear risk and gearing, which 2 ratios am I going to quote? Debt equity and ROTCE. High geared, low geared, positive geared, negative geared. Okay, compared to interest on loan. Right, so let's go see what they give me. The debt equity ratio and the total capital employed. Can you see they try and confuse you by putting the ROSHI in between. Okay, so be very careful. Look for the employed one, the working one. Okay, so you can see your debt equity increased, but it's still low geared. No? Okay, can you see your return decreased? Why? Because your net profit decreased. Why? Because your store was closed. But what do you want to see? You want to see if it's still more than interest on loan. So let's see. It's way more than the interest on loan. Okay, so can you see this guy has got a very healthy gearing situation going on. So how will I say it? I will say it like this, and then we'll go at how they mark it. I will say the debt equity ratio increased, aren't you writing? From 0.321 to 0.421. It is still low risk, low geared, meaning the bank will still give a loan. Okay. May I please? Okay, so I would mark it then 1, 2, 3. The ROTCE decreased from 39 to 23. It is higher than interest on loan, 13.5, company positive geared. And it would be 1, 2, and the memo most probably, sometimes they will say you have to say everything for 1. Most of the times they will say one of the 2 for 1. So I rather write both. So I have 6 out of 6. Go on. So the next one. So they said we've got, let's just see how they mark it. And you guys, just look at this. This is 6 beautiful marks. You get 1 for debt equity, 1 for Rotke. Increase in decrease. 4 out of 6. Then, if you say positive geared, you say low financial risk. I'm telling you that they don't even read the whole sentence. They will give you for those 2 words. Okay. Next one. Existing shareholders are dissatisfied that the new shares issued on 1st April were sold to the CEO, Ida Shah. Now the name already tells you something. Give 2 reasons why you consider their feelings to be justified, quote, figures. So now, she's the CEO. So meaning she bought the shares without advertising it there. Okay, so that already is a problem, but you can't quote a figure for that. So now let's quickly go look. Why would they be dissatisfied? So I'm going to look, I told you, when we have an issue price or a repurchase price, what is the 2 prices I'm going to compare it with? The market price and the NAV. So that's the first. So there you get 4 marks already. Okay, so let's go see. If I look at the issue price, what was the issue price? Do they tell me? I think here on the previous page they told us they issued 1,250. Where is it that we saw that? Here. They issued 250,000 shares. But can you see here, they don't tell you the issue price. Okay? But we can go calculate it. How can we go calculate it? I go look here and I see, where's my capital? Do they give me ordinary share capital? They said, Moos, how much money did we get in through sale of shares? 375. So 375 is the money we got. We issued 250,000 shares, right? So, how many cents was that? Is it 1 Rand 50 or 11 Rand 50? Times it with 100. So she bought those shares for 1 Rand 50. Okay. Now, did she times with 100? Isn't it 15 Rand? 150. If you times it with 100. Oh my word. Isn't it 150 cents? Yeah, it's 150 cents or 1 Rand 50. Okay, now I'm with you. Okay, now let's go look. How much is the market price? How much is the NAV? Should they be up? I think they have reason to be not satisfied because they would also want to buy in at this price. Ne? Okay, so the first thing you do is you're going to say the issue price of 150 cents is lower than the net asset value of 332 cents and the market price of 4.10 cents. Let's see. They say, quote figures. The relevant figures, can you see? The 150 cents, the 410 and the 332, right? There's 2 marks. Then they say, it's unethical because of the very low price. Okay? And the company is losing money, ne? Because if they sold that shares on the market, they could have gotten 4 and 10. So can you see? 6 marks. If you only did what I said that, you would have gotten 2 out of 6, right? And then 1 comment, you would have had 4 out of 6. Okay. The cash flow statement reflected a positive change of 980, meaning an inflow. Ne? Provide 2 points why this should still be a concern to the directors. Why is this still a concern? How did we get the cash? We made a loan. Ne? So, 2/3 of that is a loan. Okay? How else did we get the money? Let's quickly look. We issued shares, which is positive. But look at all this interest that we need to pay. There's a lot of interest. I would be concerned about this dividends that's so high. Ne? It's a very high dividend. No, but they don't show that. So I would say, why should they be concerned? The first thing, because of the loan, that we made a loan. It's not a good thing, and I would also be concerned about the dividends. Let's see. They say, ooh, I didn't see that. Did you see this? This is the first time in our exercises that this has happened. Ne? Your cash flow from operating activities is usually positive. Ne? Because what's your operating activities? It's your profit. And this is the things, this is basically your profit, your cash profit, and then what you pay out of your profit, and you don't want to pay out more than what you've earned. Okay? So that's already, that would bother me. The fact that we issued extra shares, and this is way too low, ne? Wasn't issued at market price. I would say the large loan payment, I would have had 4 marks. Can you see large increase of loan and large payment of dividends? I would have had my 4 marks. Well, since